Hello, everyone. Good day from wherever you're watching. You're all welcome to our wonderful platform, Becoming the Renewed Parent. My name is Choma Odikolo. I refer to myself as a renewed parent, a masterpiece, and the work in progress, and a light bearer. So today we'll be discussing about something very important and very interesting. So you're all welcome. You're welcome. So today let's move straight right into our conversation of today. We'll be talking about how to build self-esteem and self-worth in ourselves and in our children, because obviously we need to learn as parents as well before we can teach our children. So let's start with ourselves and then move to our children. So let's move straight right into our discussion for today. So what is the meaning of self-esteem? So self-esteem refers to the overall sense of value or self-respect that we hold about ourselves. So self-esteem has to do with the way we value ourselves, the respect we give to ourselves. It is how we view our abilities, our worth, and our confidence. So how you view your ability, how you view your worth, how you view your confidence goes a long way to talk about or to tell us about your self-esteem. Now, people that have high self-esteem tend to believe in their own potential. So as a parent, if you have high self-esteem, you tend to believe in your potential, you tend to feel confident in your abilities, and you approach challenges with optimism. So self-esteem has to do with the sense of value we have for ourselves, the sense of self-respect we have for ourselves, believing in our abilities, believing in our worth, and believing in our confidence, believing also in our potential, believing in our abilities, and approaching challenges with a sense of optimism. It's also the way our children view themselves, believing in their abilities, believing in their confidence, believing in their worth, having value for themselves and having respect for themselves. That is what self-esteem is. So self-esteem has to do with how we feel about ourselves, based on our abilities and our self-perception. So how do you feel about yourself as a parent? How does your child feel about themselves? That is the question we should ask ourselves. So what is the meaning of self-worth? Self-worth is the intrinsic sense of being valuable and deserving of love and respect. Is the intrinsic sense of we being valuable and deserving of love and respect, simply for being who we are. It's also the intrinsic sense of our children being valuable and deserving of love and respect because of who they are, simply. Self-worth is not based on external achievement or approval from others, but self-worth comes from a deep recognition of our own inherent value. So self-worth comes from the value we have. Self-worth comes from the recognition of the value we have. So self-worth is the fundamental belief that we are valuable regardless of our accomplishments or failures. So self-worth is the belief that our children are valuable. They are valuable regardless of their accomplishments or of their failures. That is the meaning of self-worth. Now we must understand that it's very important for us to build the self-esteem of our children, to build healthy self-esteem and self-worth in our children, because it helps them in their emotional stability and their emotional development. As a parent, it's our duty to shape, to build, to promote the self-esteem and the self-worth in our children. So how can we build self-esteem and self-worth in our children? Number one, we have to show unconditional love. As parents, we have to show unconditional love to our children. We have to show love to our children without attaching conditions, without attaching some tags. You don't show love to that child that does well in school. You don't show love to that child that does that carry out his or her own tasks at home. And you don't show love only when this child carry out his or her own tasks. at home or chores at home, and probably when the child does not carry these chores, you say, oh, I don't love you anymore. Our love as parents should be unconditional. So when the child is acting out well, when the child is performing, when the child is not performing, when the child has done their chores, when they are throwing tantrum, when they are communicating and we are not understanding, we are expected to show unconditional love to build the self-esteem and self-worth in our children. Showing love to our children without conditions, showing love without attaching anything. That is our duty as parents. Why does it matter? Why do we need to show unconditional love to our children? Because a child's self-worth begins with the love and security they feel at home. The self-worth of our children begins with the love and the security our children feel at home. So how is our home environment? How is your home environment? Can your children comfortably say they feel a sense of love and security in your home? You know, when our children know that they are loved, no matter what gives them, no matter anything, it builds the confidence they have. It builds the resilience they have. So if we must build self-esteem and self-worth, our children must understand that we, their parents, love them without conditions. We love them in all situations. We love them in all situations. And when our children understand that they are loved unconditionally, it builds their confidence. So as a parent, are you showing unconditional love to your child? And does your child understand? Can your child say with confidence that my parents love me unconditionally? That is what we need to do as parents to build the self-esteem and the self-worth of our children. Now, how can we do this? How can we show unconditional love to our children? One of the ways we can show unconditional love to our children is to express love through words, through the words we say to our children. So how is your words? Is your word seasoned as we are taught in the Bible? What kind of words do you speak to your child? Are you the type of parent that attach tag to your children? Are you the type of parent that label your child? Are you the type of parent that speak in a dishonoring way to your child? When you speak in a dishonoring way to your child, just know that you're reducing the self-confidence of this child. So if we must boost their self-confidence, we must boost it through the words we speak to them. Our words should be empowering. Our words should be words of love. Our words should be words that will make our children calm, stable, and feel a sense of home in our homes. We must also use our actions to show unconditional love to our children. So how is your action? What action are you showing to your child? Or are you saying one thing and your action is showing something else? Are you preaching something else and your action is preaching something totally different from what you're saying? Does your action reflect unconditional love to your children in your home? Do our actions reflect that we love our children unconditionally? Do our body stance, the way we express ourselves, does it send a message to our children that we love them unconditionally? That is a food for thought for us. And our attention. We must love our children unconditionally by the attention we give to our children. So what kind of attention do you give to your child? Or are you the type of parent that from morning till night, you don't give your child any attention? The television is giving your child attention. iPad is giving your child attention. Other people out there are giving your child attention. If we must show unconditional love, we must love them through our words. We must love our children through our actions, and we must love our children through the attention we give to them. We must shut down and connect with our children. We must shut down and show attention to our children. We must shut down and relate with our children. We must shut down and come down to the level of our children. We must shut down and relate to the points that our children get the message. They understand that we care. We are intentional. We want to show attention to you. Even when we are correcting the behaviors of our children, it's our duty to reassure our children that we love them regardless of their mistakes or their imperfections. It's our duty as parents to teach our children and to show them that we love them irrespective of their mistakes, irrespective of their imperfections. It's our duty to hug them, to tell them that I still love you even though you made this mistake. You're not a mistake and I still love you. And we teach you and we guide you to make a better choice or a better decision next time, but I still love you. So that is what we are expected to do as parents, to show unconditional love to our children, showing love without attaching any conditions at all. You don't love the child, you don't love one child more than you love another one. No, we must love our children unconditionally. The second way to build self-esteem and self-worth in our children is to encourage independence and responsibility in our children. It's our duty as parents to teach our children responsibility. Our children should start from a tender age or a very tender age to start to show responsibility. Responsibility for little things. Responsibility, for example, for their thoughts, their toys, picking up their toys after they are done, responsibility for their belongings. It's our duty to teach our children responsibility and independence. Why do we need to teach responsibility and independence to our children? Because when our children feel competent in handling age-appropriate tasks, they gain confidence in their abilities. It's our duty as parents to allow our children to carry out age-appropriate tasks. Don't always carry out the tasks for your child. When you do that, you disempower your child. When you do that, you're reducing the confidence of your child. So do you have that child that always wants to try? Do you have that child that will say, Mommy, I want to do this. Mommy, I want to do this. Mommy, let me do this. Allow this child to try. Allow this child to carry out age-appropriate tasks. The more the child does that, the more the child builds his or her self-confidence. Now, how can we teach independence and responsibility to our children? Let our children make choices and take on small responsibilities, like helping with picking up, doing their chores, picking up their clothes, sorting out their socks, sorting out their shoes. These are some of the ways we can encourage independence and responsibility in our children. We should also celebrate the success of our children. We should guide our children through failures without taking over. So it's our duty to guide. It's our duty to teach our children, even when they make mistakes, even when they fail without taking over. You teach and you don't take over the situation. You teach them how to make a better choice next time. You don't take over the situation. The situation is not yours. It's for your child. Allow them to try. These are some of the ways we can build independence and responsibility in our children, thereby increasing the confidence and the self-worth in our children. Another way we can improve on the self-confidence and self-worth of our children is to praise effort over results. As parents, we should not get carried away with the results and we forget the effort. We must always focus on the effort because the effort is important. That is where the main work is. The effort is so important that we don't have to neglect it. We must focus on the efforts, the process, the journey, and not just on the end results. A good number of us parents who are so focused on the end results. You want your child to carry A, you want your child to have all A's, but you're not focused on the effort this child is putting. You want your child to clean the house clean and sparkling, but you're not focused on the little effort and the progress your child is making. You want your child to clean the dish, it will be clean, without oil, without stain, and you forget the effort, the process that this child has made, or the effort this child has made to get to this point. So we as parents should not get carried away with the end result. Rather, our focus should be on the efforts put into that task by our children, the journey, the process. That is where our focus should be. Why do we need to focus on the effort over results? Because when we praise effort, it helps our children understand that success comes from hard work. As a parent, when we praise the effort of our children, we make our children understand. We teach them a message that success comes from hard work. We teach them that you need to work hard to be successful. That is why we need to praise the effort and not the end result. Success comes from hard work, not just your inherent ability. When we do this, we are teaching our children to have a growth mindset and to reduce the fear of failure. When you focus on the effort, do you know that your child sometimes gets relaxed and the child is no longer scared of failure? Because the child will understand that, okay, my mom or my dad, they don't focus on the end, they focus on my journey. They want to see that I am making baby steps, I am making baby progress. Your child will be free. Your child will be free to explore themselves and not be scared. But if you're that parent that wants the end result, you want everything, I just want, go give me all A's, clean this house, this room must be clean and sparkling, you want the end result, do you know that you're also reducing the self-confidence of your child and the self-worth of your child? And you're also creating a sense of fear. Because this child will now understand that, okay, my parents are focused on the end result, so I'm going to do it anyhow I want to do it. Provided they want result, I will give them results. Anyhow, I'm going to do it because they are after the results. And we inhibit our children from having a growth mindset. We just limit our children. We make our children have a fixed mindset because they are focused on the end. And that is why some people go to any extent to achieve any results, because a lot of people are out there looking out for the results. A lot of we parents are focused on the result and neglecting the efforts, neglecting the process, neglecting the progress. Your child has made progress from last week to this week. Have you seen the progress? Your child has made progress from when this child was 3 years to now this child is 4 years. Are you looking at the progress? Are you looking at the efforts? Are you looking at this? Your child could not pick up their toys, but now they are able to pick up their toys. Are you looking at that? Are you seeing that this child could not wash their lunch box, but now this child can just pour water on this lunch box? That is effort. And when you do that, you teach your child that success comes from hard work. And you make this child not to be scared. And you promote a sense of growth in this child, because this child will always want to do better. This child will always focus on the effort and not just the end result. So how can we focus or praise the effort over results? It's our duty as parents to focus on their efforts, their persistency, and the strategies that our children use to reach a desired outcome. For example, you could say, I am proud of how hard you worked on this, instead of saying you are smart. When you say you are smart to your child, you're limiting your child. Because it creates the sense of, okay, I am smart. This child now has this thing, and I am smart. I can't make a mistake. I am smart. So when I make a mistake, I'll shield, I'll cover myself up because I am smart. What if we begin to move from I am smart to I am proud of how hard you've worked. I am proud of the effort you've put into this. I am proud of, the time it took you to achieve this. When we do this, we're creating a sense of growth mindset in our children. And in the long run, boosting and investing in their self-confidence and their self-worth bank. Another way we can promote self-esteem and self-worth in our children is to model healthy self-esteem. We as parents, the truth is that we as parents, a good number of us are battling with self-esteem. A good number of us are battling with self-worth. When we have conversations with ourselves, we can be so honest to ourselves or with ourselves and tell ourselves the truth. So as a parent, are we modeling self-worth to our children? Are we modeling self-esteem to our children? We want our children to have high self-esteem, self-worth, and everything all put together. What of we? Do we model it? Do we have healthy self-esteem? That is the question we need to ask ourselves, and that is what we need to work on as parents, because it is important we work on this as parents for our children to model after us. So why do we need to model healthy self-esteem first as parents? Because our children often mimic our behaviors and attitude. Our children mimic our behaviors and attitude as their parents. Do you know that as a parent, how you speak about yourself and how you handle challenges will influence how your child view themselves? Do you know the way you talk about yourself will influence how your child view themselves? So how do you talk to yourself? How do we talk to ourselves? What kind of conversations do you have with yourself? Are you the kind of parent that disempower yourself? Are you the kind of parent that say all kinds of negative things on yourself? Oh my God, there are some things I hear some parents say, I'll be like, Jesus, I can't even say this about myself. Oh, no, 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 no. Even if I make a mistake. Some people say disempowering things about themselves. So what kind of conversation do you have about with yourself? What do you say to yourself? The truth is that what you say to yourself, your child can pick out the lessons. Your child can pick that, oh, this is my mom, this is my dad. I think this is my mom or my dad. Their self-confidence or their self-esteem is not there yet. So what do we say to ourselves? What kind of conversations do we have with ourselves? How do we speak about ourselves? Even when sometimes some people acknowledges you, oh, they say, oh, you're doing a great job. And some of us, instead of you to say, oh, thank you, thank you. Some of us, what do we say? Oh, no, me? Are you sure? Are you sure I'm doing a great job? Oh my God, are you sure? That's what a good number of us say, or a good number of us do. And our children are watching. Or somebody will compliment you. Oh, your hair look beautiful. I love your makeup. You look good. I'm like, this hair. This hair, it's been old though. Is it this hair? Are you sure? Are you sure this hair is fine? Or this my makeup. I was rushing. It's just, I was rushing. There's nothing here. Oh. That is what a good number of us as parents do. Our children are picking the lessons, and we are disempowering our children when we speak those kind of things. So we should learn to promote ourselves. Even when people acknowledge us, even when people say good things about us, we should learn to appreciate, to receive we should learn to receive what they are saying to us. We should learn to say, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, and we move on. So how can we model healthy self-esteem as parents? We have to speak positively about ourselves. We have to speak good about ourselves. We have to be our cheerleaders. If we don't speak good about ourselves, if we are not our cheerleaders, we might wait for too long for someone else to speak good about us. So what do you speak to yourself? What kind of conversations do you have with yourself? Do you say, are you the kind of parent that say things like, oh my God, I can't even do that. Say, oh, this is too hard. No. We must step up and begin to speak positive about yourself. You must begin to talk to yourself. You must say, I am enough. I am whole. I am beautiful. Because I am on planet Earth, I am creative. I can achieve everything I set my mind to achieve. That is what we should start to speak to ourselves to boost our self-esteem, and for our children to see that, oh my God, my parents, my mom, my dad have a good and a high dose of self-esteem. Especially in front of our children, we must learn to speak positively about ourselves. We must not speak negative about ourselves in front of our children. In front of your child, please praise yourself. Speak good about yourself. Because when you do that, you're giving your child a manual. You're giving your child a template on how to speak about themselves. When they go out there, when you're not there with them, your child will remember the way his or her mom spoke about themselves, and your child will replicate the same. But when you speak negative about yourself, Your child will just get the memo. When your child is alone, your child might even want to repeat those same things you're saying about yourself. So speak positively about yourself. Be your cheerleader. Affirm yourself. Be your cheerleader, especially in front of our children. We must avoid negative self-talk or excessive criticism. Some of us as parents, negative self-talk, we talk so negative that sometimes you begin to wonder, where is the positive? We must avoid negative self-talk. If we must boost and model self-esteem to our children, we must avoid excessive criticism, criticizing ourselves. Sometimes when we make mistakes, we criticize ourselves. We must always learn to handle mistakes with grace and perseverance. We must extend grace to ourselves as parents. We must extend compassion to ourselves. When we make mistakes, we must tell ourselves, okay, it is fine. I just made a mistake. What can I learn from this mistake so that I don't make this mistake next time? That is what we should be doing as parents. You should not just feel down like some of us, like me inclusive. I'm talking to myself, because obviously I'm a parent. Some of us, when we make mistake, we're like, we're down. We don't want to talk to anybody. You'll be like, oh my God, how? I can't believe I made this kind of mistake. How will me, a whole me? We must extend grace to ourselves. We must avoid excessive criticism. Hey, you've made the mistake. Or get up now, let's continue. Avoid that sitting down in criticism, criticizing yourself. Tomorrow, you remember the one that happened yesterday. When we do that, we are not modeling healthy self-esteem to our children. If we must model healthy self-esteem, we must speak positively about ourselves, especially in our children. We must have positive self-talk. We must affirm ourselves positively. We must tell ourselves it is okay to make mistakes. We must embrace our imperfections. We must embrace our mistakes. We must extend grace to ourselves. We must extend perseverance to ourselves. We must extend compassion to ourselves. That is what we need to do as parents to model the right self-esteem to our children. Another way we can teach our children healthy self-esteem is to provide opportunities for success. We must provide the right environment for our children to thrive. So how is our home environment? How is the space within our home? Is it an environment that promotes growth? Does it promote success? Does it encourage and help our children to thrive? So why do we need to provide opportunities for success for our children? It's important we provide opportunities for success because when our children achieve small successes, it helps to build confidence and a sense of competence. You know, our children feel proud when they accomplish tasks independently. When our children accomplish just little tasks, when they achieve small success, it helps to build their confidence little by little. Their confidence is building, their competence is building, and before you know, they've attained that probably that goal or that result or that outcome you want them to attain. So it's important as parents, we don't neglect this little process, this little growth, because in this little process, in this little effort, in this little growth, our children are building self-confidence and self-competence. How do we provide opportunities for success for our children? We should give our children tasks or projects they can handle or they can complete. We should ensure that they are challenging enough to require efforts, but they are achievable to avoid frustration. For example, you can get puzzles for your child. You can get Legos for your child. You can get puzzles that will make the child to even cry. If the child finish crying, tell the child, come, we finish what we start. According to my coach, we finish what we start. Let us do it again. Do you want to rest? I rest for 5 minutes, we'll continue. You know, when they do this and they achieve it the first time, they'll be like, oh, wow, I can achieve it. They go again. Oh, I can do it. They go again. I can do it. And by that, self-confidence is building and self-competence is building. That is one of the ways we can provide opportunities for success for our children. Another way we can boost the self-esteem and self-worth of our children is to encourage problem solving. We should encourage our children to solve problems. We should tell them to think. We should not always be problem solvers, parents. We should not always be problem solvers. You are the alpha and omega. You're always ready to solve every problem for your child. You have a toddler that is wearing shoe left and right. You want to come and solve the problem, or you don't wear it like this. Allow the child to try. When the child is done, you can now come and teach. You have a toddler that wants to do things by themselves. They are showing you independence. They are showing you like, I can do this. But you don't want them to do it. You just want them. You don't want them to struggle. You want to do it for them. When you do that, you're reducing the self-confidence of your child or the self-esteem of your child. Why do we need to encourage problem solving for our children? We must let our children solve problems on their own because it builds their resilience and confidence in decision making. When our children solve problems on their own, it makes them to be confident in decisions. They are like, oh my God, so I can achieve this. That means I can make another decision. It helps them to make decisions. It builds their decision making skills. That is what happens when we allow our children to solve problems for themselves. They get to find out that, okay, I solved this problem myself. Okay, next time I can make a decision on something. Oh, I can actually make a decision. Oh, I'm fine with making a decision. That is what it does when we allow our children solve their problems. It also builds resilience in our children. It helps our children build resilience. A good number of us parents are even struggling with resilience, but it's our duty to see these gaps and to begin to teach our children. So we should encourage our children to solve their problems. How can we do this? When our children are faced with a challenge or challenges, instead of offering a solution immediately, we can ask our children questions like, what do you think you can do about this? When your child is faced with a challenge, the child is struggling, mommy, daddy, help me. Instead of coming in to help the child, you can ask the child, oh my, I can see, oh, what do you think you can do about this? Oh, let's think, what do you think you can do about this? When you do this, it helps our children think critically and build self-confidence in their own abilities. So always ask your child, what do you think? What do you think? Mommy, this question, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Over time, our children will begin to do that. Okay, I can actually think. I can actually think out solutions. I can actually think out something. When we do this, we are helping our children build and boost their self-esteem and their self-worth. Another way we can help our children build self-esteem and self-worth is to teach resilience and embrace mistakes. We should teach our children resilience and we should embrace mistakes. Why do we need to do this? Because our children will encounter failure and we must teach them it is okay to fail. When you fail, you get up, you dust yourself and ask yourself, why did I fail? What can I do so I don't fail in this particular thing again? That is what we should be doing. We must teach our children that mistakes are opportunities for learning because it prevents a fear of failure and promotes a healthy self-image. Mistakes are opportunities for learning. Mistakes prevent a sense of a fear of failure. When we tell our children that it's okay to fail, our children will not feel scared like I'm scared of failing, because they understand that mistake is all about me learning how to do something better next time. And it also promotes the self-image of our children. How can we do this? How can we teach resilience and embrace mistakes? When our children make a mistake, we should focus on what can be learned rather than the failure itself. So when your toddler, your preschooler, or your teenage child has made a mistake, instead of focusing on the mistake, keep hammering on the mistake, talking about the mistake, why don't you begin to focus on what your child can learn? What can be learned from these mistakes? For example, you could say things like, it's okay to get it wrong sometimes. It's okay to get something wrong sometimes. What can we do differently next time? It's okay to not be able to get it now, but what can we do differently? It's okay to make mistake in this thing, but what can we do differently? That is what we should do to boost the self-esteem, the self-image, and the self-worth of our children. Another way we can help our children with self-esteem and self-worth is to foster a growth mindset. A growth mindset teaches our children that their abilities can improve with effort rather than believing they are fixed traits. A growth mindset increases the willingness for our children to try things and overcome challenges. It's our duty as parents to promote the growth mindset in our children and not the fixed mindset. Promote the mindset that tells your child you can learn. You can grow. You can improve on your skill. You can evolve. You can do better. That is the mindset we should put out there for our children. How can we do this as parents? We should use language that promotes learning and growth. What kind of language do you use? Do you use language that empower or disempower your child? Do you use the language that make the child not even have a growth mindset? What kind of language do you use, especially when your child has made a mistake? Does your language portray a message of growth or a growth mindset in it? We must encourage curiosity, perseverance, and a love for learning by framing challenges as opportunities to grow. We must teach our children that challenges are opportunities to grow. When we encounter a particular challenge, we sit down and ask ourselves, how can I grow? How can I improve? How can I be better? That is what we should do as parents. By doing that, we are helping to boost the self-esteem and the self-worth in our children. Another way we can help our children with self-esteem and self-worth is to respect the feelings and opinions of our children. Please, parents, let's respect the feelings and opinions of our children. Don't say this child is just small. What are you feeling? What is your opinion? No. They have the right. They are entitled to their feelings and their opinions, and it's our duty to respect it. Because when our children feel that they are heard, when our children feel valued, their self-esteem is strengthened. Even we as parents, when we feel that we are heard, when we feel that we are valued, it boosts our self-esteem. The same way for our children. So we must listen to our children. We must allow our children express their feelings, express their opinions, express the way they feel. Because when we give them this room, when we tell them that it's okay to express yourself, it makes their self-esteem to be strengthened. It makes them to feel a sense of being valued. Oh, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm valued. It makes our children to feel that they are heard. They learn that their voice matters. When our children know that we respect their feelings and opinion, our children get to know that their voices matter. Our children get to know that, okay, my opinion matter in this house, so I'm okay to contribute. I'm okay to put in my contributions when during the family meeting in decisions that pertain to this family. It creates a sense of self-confidence. It creates a sense of, oh my God, I'm valued, I'm welcome. This is my home. That is what it does for our children. How can we respect the feelings and opinion of our children? We have to listen to our children's feelings and opinions without judgment. It's our duty as parents to listen to the feelings and the opinions of our children without judging our children. So are you the type of parent that judge your child? Your child will tell you, Mommy, I'm angry. Be like, what are you angry about? Please keep that anger. Other people are angry. You too are angry. No. When you do that, you're disempowering that child. You're making that child not to feel valued. You're making that child not to feel heard in his or her home. So we must listen to the feelings of our children. Even when you're tired, we must listen, because they are entitled to their feeling. It's okay for them to feel the way they feel. So we must listen without judgment. We must ask for their input on family decisions. Ask for the input of your children in decisions that pertain to family. Don't say this child is small. What will this child even hear? What will this child say? No. You're deciding something. Ask their opinion. Sometimes they might just tell you something that they might just suggest something. But ask, even if they don't suggest something that is so big, but the fact that they understand that my parents will always ask me, when it concerns decisions about this family, it makes them feel valuable. It makes them feel, oh, this is my space, this is my home, I'm welcomed here. So we must ask our children their opinions on decisions of our families where appropriate. And we must also acknowledge the emotions of our children, even when they seem small. It's our duty to acknowledge the emotions of our children. When they are crying, we must acknowledge it. Don't say, this child is crying. You are crying too much. No, we must acknowledge that emotion. Your child is crying for a reason. Your child is communicating something to you through that cry. It's our duty to acknowledge this emotion. When we do that, we are helping to boost the self-esteem and the self-worth in our children. Now we must focus on our children's individual progress and strengths rather than comparing them to others. It's our duty as parents to focus on the strengths of our children. We must avoid comparison. If we want to build self-esteem, self-worth in our children, we must avoid comparing our children. Avoid comparing your son to your daughter. Avoid comparing your first daughter to your second daughter. Avoid comparing your first son to your second son. Avoid comparing siblings or peers because it can undermine their self-esteem and lead to a feeling of inadequacy. As parents, when we compare our children, it leads to a feeling of inadequacy. When you begin to say things like, oh, you can't even read at 4 years, but your sister could read at 4 years. You can't even wear your clothes, but your sister can wear her clothes. Oh, you can't even do your dish. You can't wash your dish, but your sister can do it. When we begin to do that, we are living a sense of inadequacy in our children, and that is not what we want. We don't want to raise children that feel inadequate. So we should avoid comparing our children. We must focus on the individual growth of our children. We must strengthen them and not to compare. We must praise our children individually for who they are and their unique qualities, the qualities they possess. We must acknowledge that every child is different. Child A has special qualities, child B has special qualities. My duty is to acknowledge these qualities, to fund these qualities, to promote these qualities, and not to compare. Don't compare children, don't compare siblings, don't compare peers. When you do that, you're helping to, you're like reducing the self-esteem and the self-worth of your child. And you're making your child to grow up with a sense of inadequacy. So as parents, please let us not compare our children. Comparing does no one any good. Instead of comparing, we should focus on how we can help our children. Then another way we can help boost the self-esteem of our children is to create a safe environment for our children to express themselves. How is our home environment? How is your home environment? Can your children express themselves? As a parent, while you were growing, how was your home environment? Did you have an environment where you could express yourself? So how are you replicating in your current home environment? Can your children walk up to you and say, Mommy, no, I don't feel comfortable with this thing. I don't want to wear this dress. Or is it that our children must conform to everything? How is our home environment? Our home environment should be safe for our children to express themselves. Our children should not see us and start running. Our children should not see us and start saying, hey, it's my mother. I don't know what my mother will do today. Or our children should not see us and say, it's my father. No, me, I'm scared. I don't want to talk. If I talk now, though, everything will backfire on me. If I talk now, it will be my case. They'll use it against me. So our home should be free for our children to express themselves. It does something to their self-worth and to their self-esteem. It matters for our home to be safe because a safe space where our children can express their thoughts and feelings freely allows them to develop a strong sense of self. When our children can express themselves in our home environments, it creates a strong sense of self. Our children understand themselves. They feel comfortable in our homes. They feel okay. They feel stable. They feel like, oh, this is my home. I am proud of this home. That is what it does for our children. How can we create a safe environment for our children to express themselves? We must encourage open communication by being non-judgmental when our children shares their feeling. When our children shares their feeling with us, we should not be judgmental. We should not judge their feelings. Rather, we should be open to listen. We should be open to accept. We should be open to listen and just hear them out. Then after hearing, later, when the child is calm, you can now come and teach the child. You must let our children know that it's okay to express both positive and negative emotions. As parents, it's our duty to teach our children and tell them And make it okay for them to express positive and negative emotions. Some of us, when our children start expressing negative emotions, we too, we start to throw tantrum, we start to shout, we yell, we lash out on those children. Do you know what that thing does? It makes the child to go into his or her shell. It makes this child to be scared. It makes this child to pick the emotion they will express. Because if your child gets to find out that, okay, whenever I express this negative emotion, my father or my mother is all over the place, the house is scattered, this child will now begin to pick the emotion to express. This child will now begin to pretend. This child will no longer be free. And when it sets in, it affects the self-esteem and the self-worth of that child. So it is okay. Let our home be a training ground, according to my coach. Our home should be a training ground for our children to express both positive and negative emotions. Not just positive emotions. They should also express negative, so that we'll also see how we can come in and help them, guide them, and teach them. Then finally, another way we can help our children build self-esteem and self-worth is to be consistent with our boundaries and discipline. As parents, we have to be consistent. How consistent are you? Oh my God, I'm also talking to myself. How consistent are you as a parent? Are you an inconsistent parent? Does your child understand that consistency exists in this home? We must be consistent with our boundaries. You don't say one thing today and tomorrow you're saying another thing. You don't discipline in a different way today, tomorrow you are disciplining in another way. We must be consistent in our boundaries and discipline. Because when we are consistent, with our boundaries and discipline, it provides a structure, and it helps our children understand consequences. And this consistency builds trust and security, which contributes to the self-worth of our children. So as parents, when we are consistent, it builds trust and security in our children. So are you consistent? Am I consistent? If we want to boost the self-worth of our children, we need to be consistent too. Because if you are consistent, it builds the trust and the security in your child. Now, how can you be consistent with boundaries and discipline? We must set clear expectations. We must also tell our children, these are the things we expect in this home. These are the things we expect you to do. These are the things that are expected of every member of this family. We must set clear expectations, and everyone must understand the expectations of our home, and we must follow through consequences. We must follow through our consequences. We must use the positive discipline that teaches, that guides, not the discipline that punishes, not the discipline that disempowers a child. Because when we use positive discipline, when we teach our children, when we guide our children, we help our children to feel respected and understood. So as a parent, what kind of disciplinary measure do you use? When you use the right disciplinary measure, when you discipline, which is to teach, to guide, it helps our children to feel respected. It helps them to feel understood. And this respect can translate even when they leave our home. They understand that this is the way my parent treats me at home. I feel respected and understood. Someone else cannot treat me otherwise. So these are the things we need to pass on to our children, but we need to model. We need to model the right things, the right values, the right approach, the right disciplinary approach to our children. So these are many more are some of the ways we can build the self-esteem and the self-worth in our children. So what would you be running with today? Which would you be picking up to implement? You can also implement everything. Implement everything. If we must boost the self-esteem, if we must invest in the bank, the self-esteem bank, and the self-worth of our children, if we must raise children that we grow up tomorrow and not having challenges with self-esteem and self-worth, we must begin to run. We must begin to pick out this point and begin to implement it, work with it, and run with it. So thank you very much for listening to me today. I believe you've got value from listening to me. Thank you for your time. I do not take your time for granted. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, Becoming the Renewed Parent on YouTube. Share with your family and friends, and also tell them to subscribe. Join us in our Facebook group, Becoming the Renewed Parent. And please pre-order my upcoming book, Becoming a Renewed Parent. It's going to bless you. I know that for sure. It's going to be a blessing to the whole world. So thank you very much. Remember to implement. Remember to be a good model. Remember to be a renewed parent. A parent that intentionally invests and builds up the self-esteem bank and the self-worth of your children. So thank you very much. Till I come your way next time. See you and have a good day.